Blessed risings, good afternoon or good evening, depending on where in the world you are tapping in from. You got to keep in mind that Keep It PE podcast is a global show. And today on this episode of PC Shenanigans, we will be discussing backlash over San Jose State University transgender volleyball player isn't about sports, advocates say. What's it about? I mean, yeah, it's about cheating. It's about fraud. It's about being an imposter. It's about dishonesty. Life isn't fair. I mean, this is an unfair advantage. They say the little dude can spike like 80 miles an hour. 4 teams already done forfeited. They ain't never been this good ever. No all-women team has been able to even get with them. This is what we going to, people. Pretty soon, what you're just going to have women's sports full of basically dudes that couldn't hack it over in the man arena. Is that in the man sphere? You couldn't make it over there. So now you're going to go play sports. I'm just saying you're opening up the door to that. I don't even have to be Transformer to go do that, right? Right? I could just pretend and say, hey, I'm a woman now, and you go over there and compete like Joanna Man. Y'all seen the movie Joanna Man? If you haven't seen the movie Joanna Man, y'all put in the comments if you've seen the movie Joanna Man. If you have, explain it in the comments for others who haven't seen the movie Joanna Man. And this is the problem that we'll have here. So pretty soon that you're gonna see the WNBA full of NBA players that are dressed up as women. I mean, because what's the proof? What do you need to have to prove that I'm really transgender now? I've crossed over now. I'm not going back, or I can go back whenever I want to, right? I mean, who makes the rules on this? Isn't the rule that there's no rules? However you feel. If you feel like you like goats today, well, you're a goat gender. You feel like you want to be a furry today and be a cat. I like cats today. I identify as a cat today. I'm not hating on no one. And I don't have a phobia. That's a fear of. So there's no homophobia here. Are you even still homophobic if it's a transformer now? Wouldn't that be something else? You know what I'm saying? Like, how come we don't start making up more new names now then? Don't you have to have a specific fear now for transformers or for pansexuals or for asexuals, or that all goes under homophobic? Which is a fear of, and I don't know who's afraid. I'm not afraid. You can't whoop me. So how am I afraid? I don't understand. So are people afraid? Well, I think some are afraid of getting spiked at 80 miles an hour if you're not used to the opponent being powerful like that. If they're saying I've never come up against another woman who could spike like that, well, that ought to tell you something. That's probably not a woman just because you say you are. Your DNA, your testosterone, your makeup, your chromosomes don't agree with you. But let's hear what Becky got to say. Fair use, poop to poop.
So over in California at San Jose State University, they have rostered a male athlete onto their women's volleyball team.
Fair use. I am teaching
for a few years now, but was just
see if y'all can get through her. She says a lot of
confirmed
and
to be a male athlete by another.
So why y'all be talking about me
this past summer? And since that's been discovered, the team has just been reaching previously unheard of success for their program. They are still undefeated, one of only a couple of teams still in Division I that is undefeated. They've just recently beat a Big Ten school for the first time since 2004. And no team that is made up of completely female athletes has been able to stop this team. Well, at Concerned Women for America, we do want to protect the integrity of women's sports, but also the safety of these female athletes. Many of these schools were unaware that there was a male athlete on this team. until this news article came out in April. So we just want to make sure that these schools know exactly what's going on in this athletic program, because the NCAA and San Jose State had not previously given them the decency to even let them know what was happening. So female athletes were put in this odd position of showing up to the court and looking on the other side and realizing something's different about this game. I've never seen an athlete play like this before, which makes total sense considering that this athlete, first of all, is not female, but also is playing on a net over 7 inches shorter than he should as a male. And so we just want to make sure that they're all informed of the situation, because this is putting their female athletes at an increased risk of harm. And so we want to make sure that they are aware of this risk and that it is a Title IX violation. What's going on at San Jose State. Concerned Women for America just last week took the first official action against San Jose State in filing a federal civil rights complaint saying that this is female discrimination and that you're allowing a male athlete to hold a female roster spot on this team and a female athletic scholarship, which is jeopardizing educational opportunities for women. And so we just sent these letters out to many of these schools, some of which had already played San Jose State, just asking a couple of questions, like if they knew that there was a boy athlete that they were going to be competing against. But for the schools that were about to compete or are scheduled to play San Jose State, we asked a couple of very simple questions. Like, are you willing to compromise the integrity of your program, but also the safety of your female athletes by competing in this game, knowing that there is an increased risk of harm? What are you doing to be precautionary in making sure that this doesn't happen in the future? And just simple questions like that. Are you letting your female athletes know so that they could opt out if they saw fit? Would you penalize them with a scholarship? These are very simple questions. But Colorado State did reply to us when we asked if they were going to continue playing this game, knowing that there was an increased risk of harm for their female athletes. And their response was simply yes. And while we do appreciate that they responded to our inquiry, we do recognize that there has been 2 major developments since their response on Friday. First of all, Concerned Women for America did file this federal civil rights complaint against San Jose State, and also Boise State pulled out of their game, a conference game against San Jose State. So we're hoping that Colorado State will reevaluate our questions, knowing that this is a serious problem. Charlie Baker recently sent a letter to the United States Senate trying to justify what's going on in the NCAA, because it does raise some serious concerns for everyone, whether it be federal taxpayer dollars or Title IX regulations. And he tried to step away from any responsibility, saying, oh, we're just abiding by other governing organizations, which he is the president of the NCAA. So I don't know who he thinks that he is looking to here, but ultimately this does rest on his shoulders. But he clarified something that he had not previously said, which is that their backwards trans inclusionary policies aren't mandatory and that these schools can operate within their own institutional values. Now, that's not something we had ever heard before, and we have a lot of questions about what that means, because there are NCAA placed incentives to keep these women competing against men and potentially harming their own safety by doing so. But we do want to make sure that schools are being active in making sure that they are standing within their institutional values, which we hope wouldn't jeopardize the safety of the female athletes. For example, in Iowa already passed a Save Women's Sports bill saying that Iowa could not hold a male athlete in one of their women's roster spots, but then they invited San Jose State into one of their tournaments. Concerned Women for America sent them a letter just asking about some of that, and actually creating a petition for Iowans to stand up and say, no, that's not how we do it here in Iowa. These aren't our institutional values. So we are continuing to look into that, but that's why we want to make sure that these schools are aware of this male athlete, because the NCAA isn't telling them that they're having to compete against a male athlete. There's no informed consent for the schools or for the female athletes here. They're totally blindsided, like you said, when they walk up to the court and they see that there's a male athlete on the other side. This actually happened to me. I played college volleyball, and during my recruiting process, the same thing happened to me. I walked up to the court, and full of college scouts standing all around me. I looked at my competition and it was a boy. And this wasn't any kind of debate happening on a national stage. So I was completely blindsided. I thought this was obviously cheating, but I played anyway because I didn't have this time to sit and reflect and think about the decisions that I was making. It was just kind of upon me in that moment, without any respect given to me about that decision. So this whole idea of like, oh, girls should just stop playing. A lot of the times they don't even know. And then in that moment, they're faced with this decision of having to choose between maybe $100,000 education scholarship or their own safety and dignity. And for a lot of girls, that's a burden that is just too much to bear. So we're
A
asking these
lot of
schools to
girls,
be
come on, you
proactive on this
starting to
issue and
wham,
simply
wham,
say,
wham
if
now.
there's a
You
boy
got
on
the
the other team,
violin out.
we're not going to play. We're not going to jeopardize our female athletes. We're not going to jeopardize their safety and dignity. We're simply not playing. We're not going to do this game and have to make our female athletes suffer that burden.
Everything, fam. Everything. Hold on. She got the whining, y'all. She got the whining and crying, y'all. Hey, I understand where your message is, and I'm with you, but she tried to, we all in this together. We ain't tripping, P. You ain't, hey, if you had some stomp downs on your volleyball team, they'd have told y'all, let's go and crush them because that's how we get down. But I understand what you're saying, though. But we don't do the whining like y'all do. That violin, fam, y'all always crying about racism. No, y'all don't. Y'all cry about everything. If you can't get no part of something, you start crying. It's discrimination. It reversed this. It reversed that. The problem with you got a problem with everything if you can't be a part of it. You got HBCU. Why we can't go? Because you got 10,000 other schools you could go to. I'm saying I'm with you on the transformer stuff, but then you was going wham wham wham. I ain't with you on the wham wham wham. Cut our check, and then we might vibe with you, or maybe we could be in this together. Probably not, but cut the check, and then we could see. That's what we learned here today, boys and girls. They will wham 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 you, try to wham you down. Like they just, life is so hard. We can't stomach that. Now, right on the spot, and I got to come up with the cash and to lose my scholarships and what? Well, tell Cheap Daddy to go ahead and pony up some of that bread, or maybe he should start voting in his interest because he sure don't. Because his interest would be voting for reparations. If y'all was smart, if you do the math, you would know that voting for reparations is actually in your best interest. So that's how I know you don't vote in your best interest, because now you idiots are crying, oh, abortion. Ain't no abortion. Ain't no abortion. You don't hear us crying about that, P. You don't hear us crying about that. The women, right. You voted for the man. You knew he was going to do that. He told you he was going to do that. He told you he was going to do that, and y'all voted for him in masses. Oh, don't try to, it was men. No, but let's just say it was men. That still would be your husband. That still would be your brother. That still would be your uncle. That still would be your daddy, who don't care nothing about you, apparently. But that wasn't the case. It was you women showed up in full force, and you voted in Donald Trump, who then took away whatever rights y'all felt about your reproductive and your body and all that, but you knew that. And see, you vote against your interests. So therefore, I can't feel your pain. I can't feel your pain more than you feel your pain. You cut your nose to spite your face. And then you want me to help you with your face. Well, no, hold on, sweetheart. I got stuff to do with my family and my community to try to make sure we right. I got things I gotta do instead of taking resources to come help you with your slit nose that you did yourself. But I ain't gonna hold you. I'm just gonna mold you, fold you, and scold you about being off code. Gonna leave you with 4 words, as we always do around this time. Subscribe for the vibe, like for the spike, comment your vomit, and share if you care. If you dare to get Black empowerment everywhere. We're everywhere. That's true. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook. Come and take a look. You might get hooked, but don't get shook about the imposters. There's keep it P imposters out there. There are. Love, peace, blessings, and maloha. I gotta go ha for sure ha. You already know ha. Big brother like Bright Supremo Mike T. Signing off.